but I didn't really love the area. I mean, the museums and stuff were cool, but it just didn't have that vibe. Like it was really based on the people we hired in those offices. The type of salespeople, the type of employees that we hired, the production managers, they just didn't have that zing on DC. Yeah. Whereas you go to Atlanta and they had that Scottsdale had a good group. So it had a lot to do with the people. The people and the energy had a lot to do with how successful those offices were.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Tony? Let's get this thing rolling. Tony! Let's get this speakeasy going. It's Saturday, man. It's time to get out of here. Let's knock out this podcast. All right, guys. Anthony Delmedico got a special guest on a speakeasy. Gina Delmedico, my sister, and CFO of 15 years?
15
Before
years.
GLD?
Before GLD, 15
Now
years.
she's an entrepreneur, running her own business. But yeah, 15 years. She came in to visit me. She's actually helping me staff up in my office because she knows how to clean up little brother's messes over the years. And we're doing a staff up at SVG. So I thought I'd introduce her to the industry. Gina's now doing GLD Management Services.
Yeah.
Which is ARAP, like a one-stop shop, bookkeeping, if you want full-time bookkeeping, coming in and cleaning up your messes, because everybody's got AR and AP messes.
Oh, yeah.
Reconciliation, month-end reconciliation, which we'll talk about in a minute. Forensic accounting, which we'll talk about in a minute. That's real exciting, because she did that for me over the years. And really helping a lot of, how many roofing clients have you had now here since you've gone on your own?
Oh, God, at least a dozen.
By the way, do I get a VIG? for all those years of training. This girl put up with basically I was a forest fire and tornado. We opened up 18 offices over almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And at one time literally had 10 brick and mortar,
I think we
standing.
Yes.
At one time from Pasadena, California to Minnesota, St. Louis, Chicago, all the way over to Washington D.C. Just an empire. Mm-hmm. And Gina was the key foundation to make that happen, because I was always on the front lines, opening offices, training, sales, train, open offices, hiring people, and you were the hub. What do I call the centralized production, master production, ARAP, usually centered out of Minnesota.
Yes.
Over those years. So we ran master production. Now we learned how to centralize production. It didn't happen overnight. We used to have production managers, remember, in each location. And QC inspectors. And then we realized that with technology, as the technology changed from 2005 to 2010 even, you could start using CRMs and ordering. You could order jobs in Minnesota for St. Louis. There's no reason to have a separate production manager there. So when we did that, we started centralizing and really scaling as a company.
Scaling as a company and saving a lot of money as a company.
Yeah.
To not have to...
Cutting overhead.
Exactly.
So we cut all the office production managers out, centralized her, and you had a couple assistants up there. And then we centralized AR and AP at the major hub, which is Minnesota, and that allowed us to basically create So some guys watch this right now. They want to know, hey man, how'd you do that? Well, we got the blueprint, but really to create the hub and spoke. And so when I would go out and open an office in, let's say, DC, traditionally you'd have to hire a production manager, an AR, AP, and some sales guys or girls, salespeople. Now I could go out, find a lease, a smaller office. And we had to hire a QC in the field to help be your eyes and ears, basically, for production. And usually a sales coordinator recruiter was my first hire. Yes. She would run the office, business cards, shirts, turn on the lights, and she would help staff up salespeople right away. And then she could also help be an assistant with AR if needed down the road. But you had your master AR in the major hub. And then we would hire some salespeople. And eventually we would deputize a field trainer. We never really had full-time sales managers in those locations because you couldn't find them. And most of them aren't worth a grain of salt.
Didn't
need them because we had a deputized field trainer.
Yes.
Or one sales guy would agree to help out. And so we really were able to that. People are like, man, how'd you open 18 offices? By the way, it's Saturday morning, guys, in Scottsdale. We thought we'd come in and do a speakeasy podcast because we're about to go walk around and look at the mountains. So we thought we'd do a knockout of speakeasy podcast. You wonder why we're dressed like this. Usually I'm wearing a different, usually I'm not wearing a tank top.
You're usually all suited up.
Suited up. I'm not wearing my suit today. But we would, going back to the story, people are like, how did you open up 18 offices, over roughly 15 years? That's a lot of offices. And it was the hub and spoke method, and Gina was my foundation. She was my hub. I couldn't have done it without her. We act like we're entrepreneurs, we can do everything. I couldn't have done that without that centralized ARAP production. And really that master production. When we centralized production, that's when we really started growing.
Yes.
Because when I didn't have to worry about ordering jobs and Mrs. Smith And all I had to do was really focus now on sales and to ramp up the salespeople and those, you know, SCSR. And then we would kind of make a mutual decision on the QC guy.
Yes.
You know, man, we could open like it was like force fire. You know what I mean?
Like clockwork. Boom, boom, boom.
So let's talk about, you know, we talk about scaling, Gina. You're now helping contractors. You learned a lot of stuff for those 15 years.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about a couple of those
all
things.
of it, good and bad.
Do you remember the time? So a lot of guys have this problem, you know, where they're ordering excessive shirts and business cards and swag, and the guys come in. Remember back in the day?
Yeah.
Now my old business partner did
They
like.
decided not to do laundry and came in every day for a shirt.
Yeah, they're opening up the cabinets, taking a shirt. They didn't want to wash their shirts. So you go to a guy's house, he might have 10 shirts.
Exactly.
Now if you times that by 30 sales guys, start doing the math. You got a shirt problem. One year we spent, remember we did analysis across 10 states, $56,000 on shirts and probably caps. You know, most of it was shirts.
Shirts and caps.
And I bought, you know, this is when we started doing, you know, you start getting smarter as your company grows, start doing a P&L analysis thing here. I'm looking at the P&L line items for the first time in the first 5 years. You better look at these shirts, Anthony. And she was like barking at me. I'm like, what, 56,000 shirts? So we put a rule in place. These are things you just learn. You know, you learn. Instead of letting the guys come in and grab whatever shirts they want, they're locked up. When they start, they get a 2 shirts. They get a set of business cards,
a hat,
and it all goes on their draw, which you should do anyways because they're 1099. Because if you supply them something free, they could be considered an employee. So you put it on their draw, but you actually don't charge the draw until they come get their second set, and now they pay for it. And so now they learn paying. So if they come back and say, "Hey man, I need 3 new shirts," okay, here's 3 more. Now you're paying for them. They come out of your check because now you're on your 3rd one. The first ones are a freebie.
Yeah.
That when you leave the company, we could draw on your last check. Mm-hmm. Putting that one little stupid rule in place cut our $56,000 shirt bill down to like 16 grand. Yeah. It was nuts. Everybody started washing their shirts. They didn't lose their shirts. You know what I mean? And so you start realizing, we started realizing what other areas in that P&L could we save money.
Yes.
We invented, because it didn't exist, an Excel spreadsheet pre-cap.
Pre-capper for your jobs.
Now a lot of guys are doing it now, but hell, back then there was no such thing.
No.
There was no CRM that pre-capped their jobs. I don't even think any of them now do it down to a box of nails to a certain degree. But some of them might be moving in that direction. But what does that mean? It means we put a rule in place when we centralized production to pre-cap every job down to a box of nails before we built it. If that job was under, what was the threshold?
20%.
20%.
20% or under it.
It went on production hold.
Yes, it did.
Or it sat in supplementing, or it got investigated. Because when you have 10 offices doing 10 different things, you have to have rules in place. Otherwise, you start building unprofitable jobs real quick.
Do that.
But we didn't know that when we started. You know what I mean? The first 3-4 years, we weren't doing that. We were kind of winging it like everybody does. Mm-hmm. Oh, 30% is good. And, you know, and then when you put that system in place, guess what? Profit margins went up. And then we changed our pay plans. About year 5, we started adding things like, if your job goes over 40%, you get an extra point. Or 2 points or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it
3%.
Yeah.
If it goes below under 25%, you're not getting 50% commission. You're getting 30.
Right.
And we started putting these rules in place, and you know, it's not something that happened overnight. It was like there was no book or like there's nowhere where there was a training manual on how to do this. We just started playing with things.
Trial and error.
And all of a sudden, our best salespeople became better. Their jobs became more profitable because we put a rule in place. Our worst ones got better too. The C- players got B because they didn't want a job that they only kept out of 50. Now we jumped down to 30. And if it was under 15% GP, there was 0 sales commission. Dude, if it ain't 15% GP, that's a problem.
Right.
Why pay anybody? Nobody's getting paid. So you start putting these rules, positive and negative reinforcement. Gina was there with me, you know, along the whole ride. What's some other goofy things we did? Collections. Well, remember we put in 0, 30, 45, 50?
Yeah, we stopped waiting for 60.
Yeah,
we went 31 to 45 and then 5-day lien left right there.
So once we missed our lien clock a few times, because you only learn these things through pain, right? So we had a couple in Florida, down in South Florida, where we couldn't lien them because we waited to 91 days.
Right.
And they're strict on it. 91, 92 days, you lose your lien rights.
Mm-hmm.
And so once that happened 4 or 5 times, our new rule is like, boom. At 7 days, you're getting your first invoice. That gives you 7 days from last trade complete. We started tracking last trade complete because we weren't tracking it very closely before that. Remember?
No.
At 30 days, you got a stronger invoice. At 45 days,
you got a
5-day lien letter in certified mail. That's real important. Certified mail where they had to collect it, where they had to sign off on it. So they were going to get a lien in 5 days. Now, did that piss some homeowners off?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a lien.
Nobody wants a certified letter. That's just get a lien in the house.
Letter or a lien.
And they call me a bitch.
Yeah.
And they're like, Gina, why'd you send us? You'd be like, ma'am, it's an administrative policy. It's really a courtesy to you to let you know what our company procedures are. that money's at the mortgage company, or that money's at the insurance. Not. Well, then help us help you. Pick up the phone and call that mortgage company or call that insurance company. And guess what happened? They would do it, and all of a sudden the money came in.
Yeah.
And so you learn these things. We trialed and errored this, and all of a sudden our accounts receivable came in faster.
Another thing we did too that we put into play is if you have miscellaneous trades, once that roof was done, we started releasing this supplemental depreciation, get that money rolling ahead of time before you're even off the job site.
A lot of guys wait for the COC to the last trade's done, like gutters, which is crazy because the gutters, let's say your copper gutters are 3 months or a month out. You want to release that COC on the roof money. Now we release all of it because we're 90% done with the contract. And 9 times out of 10, they would release the money. Every once in a while, they call and they found out the gutters weren't done. All right, well, then hold the money on the gutters, but we need our roof money. Right. 3 months out, we got to get paid. Okay. So if you don't do it, you're not going to get the money released. And that sped up our accounts receivable about 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
On most jobs, so we started getting paid faster. So a lot of these little rules, like in the SVG product systems we sell now, a lot of you guys watching this are probably using it. What's in a virtual training? These are all trial and error things that took me 20 years to figure out. Right. I mean, these are one of hundreds of things that we figured out. And one that I think you now, Gina, as GLD, when you go visit a startup or a construction company, or some of these guys are underwater, or their accounts receivable AP department's effed up, FUBAR, and you do your little 3-day deals, you're putting some of these into place from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
So tell
that's what I know. So that's what I put into play. It's what worked for us in the end.
Or guys are getting ripped off and don't know it.
They don't know it.
That story about that one client out in the southeast there. We don't have to mention any names. Your first day, what you found, or second day.
Well, in the first couple months, I started doing the bank reconciliations and how important that is. And that's where I found an employee had taken checks, wrote them out to himself, opened up an account.
Company safe?
Yeah.
They got petty cash?
Yeah, they had checks right in the safe. Got into the safe, took the checks, wrote them out. I found it, like 2 days after the bank statement came. I'm running the bank statement, and there it is. A whole list of 9 checks out of sequence.
And now, if you're not, so she said an important word, guys, called reconciliation, okay? And her and I'm not going to mention anybody's names, but we have an AP manager that was part of our organization that's in prison right now.
Yeah.
That's in prison because she figured out a way to write checks to a fake subcontractor, right? We won't mention any names, but she's got what she deserved, right? I mean, we're talking about several $100,000. So this is a big problem in the industry. And the contractors watch this right now. They have some of these guys have their girlfriends, their wives, their friends, their aunts, whomever, doing their books. Not to say those people are ripping you off, but money changes people. Okay, yes, when people start handling money and they think it's their own, sometimes their brains start working on ideas that that they shouldn't, because so you have to be careful. The only way to litmus test or check this is month-end reconciliation.
Yeah, it is.
So explain what that means.
What that means is pretty much whoever's doing your accounts payable and writing them checks should not be reconciling the account. You definitely need a second set of eyes.
Second set of eyes. Always somebody else
looking
besides
at them
your AP.
books, besides the person cutting them checks.
So what it means is once a month, guys, you have a separate person, an outside agency. Gina does this for several clients now. They don't even have to come in. They receive the bank statement digitally. Yeah. They see all the checks that were processed. They go over every line item. They pull out the bank statement, and they check every detail against the books. Because the person writing the checks for you, your AP manager right now today, if they're doing their own month-end reconciliation, they can be hiding their own theft or thievery, correct?
Yes.
They can be not admitting the mistakes they're making, too. There could be other situations going on where they overpaid someone maybe by accident.
Overpaid a vendor, a sub, or
overpaid a vendor, you wouldn't know about it. So you always need you need a separate outside person, or at least a separate person inside your company that knows how to do month-end reconciliation. And month-end reconciliation for an average company might take a day. Is it a 1-day project or 2 days?
It depends on how the
volume they have. It could be done in 4 hours if you're a smaller company, right?
If they got 5 pages or they got 50 pages,
But if you want to sleep better at night, if you think there might be something going on, look, most of you guys are running around busy, you're on the front lines, you're jumping on roofs, you're out in sales, you don't know what's going on in your books, right? And it's good to have somebody else. We call it forensic accounting.
Yeah.
And if you want it, guys, GLD does this now for multiple clients?
Oh, yeah.
Some people you just do month-end.
That's all I do.
That's all you do for them? Sometimes you go on and do a 3-day cleanup or a 3-day revamp.
Go on site, assess what they have going on, their overhead, the whole bit. And
there's a lot of things going on, guys, in your P&Ls and your line items where you could be saving money right now, just like the shirts, and you don't know it.
Right.
There's a lot of things that could be going on in your AP department where checks, like they were for us, was 6 months before we caught that gal that was running on the other side, the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Slick, man. She had a subcontractor set up. It was just like the regular subcontractor, right? With one little letter. And if the average owner or contractor looked at those checks,
they're not going to know.
Oh, that's Greg's Roofing. That's Greg's Roofing. That's Greg's Roofing. Unless you're doing that month-end reconciliation, that's how they found out. You wouldn't know. You'd have no idea.
Never know.
Your bank account is just a little lower than it should be. Let's talk about roofers. Another thing we found out over the years was we had a huge problem. Remember with roofers calling in shorts.
Calling in shorts all the time.
And we always thought it was a salesman's issue. We'd go check. It really wasn't a salesman's issue. The roofer, because they were being paid waste squares, had an inherent motivation to waste roofing squares.
Yes.
You go look in a dumpster. Man, dude, there's 3 squares of perfectly good shingles in a dumpster. Or they were lazy in the way they cut their values, or whatever it was. They were wasting shit left and right. And so we put a rule in place, and I think this was in 2006, 2007.
We started just paying on actual
We only
squares.
paid on actual squares. And there was some guys watching this right going, man, roofers will never do that, man. They'll never do that. Well, maybe you got to pay $5 a square more. That's what we did.
That's what we did.
But we said this is our rule, and eventually they wouldn't buy it, and the waste problem went away. I mean, guys, 20 squares is 20 squares. You can sit and act like, well, but we're installing field and starter, and the insurance company's not even paying you for that shit anymore.
No.
We're installing waste. You're not installing waste. You're cutting waste. The waste going in a dumpster. 20 squares is 20 squares.
Yep.
What is the installed shingle? Period. And so when we had to bump it in some situations, $5 a square, but we got rid of the calling in shorts, which was a problem because it was slowing down the jobs. And half the times the calling in shorts, well, they weren't really short. They were roofers trying to get an extra 3 squares in every job.
It wasn't legitimate.
And they got away with it from certain production managers when we had the production managers on satellites, right?
Yeah.
When we centralized and created a one procedure nationwide, our short problem went away. The trip charges went away. The waste went away. And probably hundreds of thousands of dollars saved over the next 5 years, in waste.
Huge.
So a lot of guys watch this like now, man, they'll never do it, man. They're gonna want their waste squares. They want this and that. Look, you might have to pay a little bit higher, but you make the problem go away. And the problem and dealing with the problem is much worse than even the cost of the 2 squares. The phone call.
Exactly.
Be going to send somebody to pick it up and drop it off. All that kind of stuff. So.
No, that's up.
Guys, there's 100,000 little things like this you learn in 15 years in this business. Some of it's in SVGU, some of it's in our product training, and now you're helping contractors, around the country deal with some of the same things.
Yeah.
So what else do you do, Jane? So you do ARAP?
Production. I help guys set up, guys that are just starting out. Maybe they just got their roofing license or their contractor license.
Just set up a master production center?
They want to set up production. They need accounting. They need all the back-end admin.
Right.
Get licensed with the city you're in, business tax receipts from the bottom up. I help them out.
What if somebody just wants you to come in and maybe train an OPM or an office production manager? Do you do that?
I do that too.
Do a training for a day?
Hire, train. I can assist with,
So you can hire guys. You can hire somebody like people like, well, I'm going to hire somebody with an accounting degree or a CP. You can hire a high degree person like ARAP, but they ain't gonna know how to run a roofing restoration company.
No,
right?
it's a little different.
It's all this stuff. You can't learn that in college.
Yeah.
You learn that through pain and trial and error. And I think because you've gone out and trained A&R and AP staff at different companies.
Well, and I've trained them all the years we were together, whoever we had at the local.
And some of these folks, they've been doing accounting for 20 years, but they haven't done it in this industry. On the streets,
right?
And that's where you learn. That's the only way you can learn some of this stuff, in this P&L analysis and how to do this and how to hold the roofer accountable, how to hold the salesman accountable. Remember accounts receivable? Remember in Atlanta, Georgia, we had for the first time we had an accounts receivable problem. We just had money coming in so fast we never really managed our accounts receivable. In Atlanta, Georgia, it was our 5th office, and all of a sudden we had an aging AR.
Yes.
So this one we came up with between that and South Florida, we came up with 03045.5 is our invoicing procedures, standardized in one location. We also introduced cap out hold. Remember that?
Yeah. Boy, were them boys pissed.
Well, they were pissed, but guess what? The money came in. So if you had a job over 30 days, anybody across the board, I'm talking about, we had.
No matter who you are,
I think we had 5 states.
Sales.
I think we had 5 brick and mortar at that time. You're talking about, we were usually running 15, 20 per office, salespeople. 100 salespeople. That didn't have a lot of rules prior to this. All of a sudden you got hit with cap out hold. Well, that means if you have a job over 30 days, all your jobs are on cap out hold. You can still get your draws when you turn your checks in, but you're not capping out jobs.
Exactly.
All of a sudden our AR problem went away within 3 weeks. He's
them out there picking up them checks.
The homeowner's thinking about turning money in because they're getting the 5-day lien letter. The sales guy's thinking about it. Now he's feeling pain. When everybody feels pain, your money comes in. When nobody feels pain, your money don't come in. Took us 5 years to figure that one out. So what? I mean, and then the sales guys actually appreciate it later on. Like they bitched about it, and I said, you know what? Now my money's coming faster. I'm more cognizant. I'm more responsible about helping be part of the collection process.
Well, yeah, and it keeps them having steady income.
Yeah. Now we had, if we had a top producer and you had that one legal shithead customer that just wasn't paying you, we'd make an exception.
Right.
I'm talking about the guys that continually had 2 to 3, 4 jobs, going over 30, over 60, and they were like, I don't care. Their bellies are full, man. They didn't really care. Like, job could sit out there. They didn't care. It's a problem customer. You know,
they
didn't like their drip edge color.
Yeah.
He wouldn't go fix the problem. He's the one that didn't write the right drip edge color, and it's holding a $15,000 check. They don't care unless they feel pain. Everybody's got to feel a little pain.
Oh yeah, we all do.
So Gina, you're based out of Port St. Lucie,
Florida.
Of course I know that, but I know it was Jupiter. I kept thinking Jupiter, Port St. Lucie.
That's where Mom was. Yeah. Jupiter.
And how many clients are you helping right now out there?
Well, I've got clients across the nation, from California to D.C., Pennsylvania, Florida, all over.
Are you looking for more?
I can always take on more.
Always take on a couple more?
I'm always willing to help.
So guys, check her out. I thought I'd bring her on a speakeasy. She's my sister. She helped me go through hell and high water in my 173 million in sales over 15 years.
Yeah.
And really a great backbone for me. And now she's an entrepreneur. See, I always launch the entrepreneur. We launch the entrepreneurs, man. Get the entrepreneur bug. GLD Management Services, helping roofing and construction clients all over the country with AR, AP, bookkeeping, forensic accounting. Remember that word, guys. When you go to bed at night, think about that AP manager that's working for you. And if you don't know what she's doing, you might want to hire someone at least once a month for a day. You sleep better at night, having that month-end reconciliation. And also with production, maybe setting up master production. I mean, you were really good at that.
Yeah.
Some of that production coordination system and all that good stuff. So let's get the heck out of here, man. It's Saturday. See you soon.